Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Rusty here. Hope you are doing well. Welcome back to Impact Dynamics Live for this Sunday night Q&A. Back for Q&A number 5 or 6. I lose 5. Must be 5. I think we're 5 weeks into this thing. Hope your weekend has been sensational. I've been doing some Team Impact related challenges and all sorts of stuff. So it's been good fun. G'day to all the guys who are in the chat there. Oh man, we've got a big list of names tonight. G'day Scott and Sheldrake, Anthony, Steve Hurt, Craig. Try not to double up too much. Charles, Anthony, a different Anthony as well, and Steve Blacker, Warwick, Andy Little, Brad. Everyone's getting in on it. It's awesome to see, guys. If you're there, say g'day. Let us know what you're up to, how your weekend's been, all that sort of stuff. Be great to see. Now, what else have we got to tell you? Next week. So we've got all sorts of guest lines up next week. It's going to be a big week. We have Robbie Gallo lined up tomorrow. Robbie's he's been shooting for the PRS stuff for a while, but he's really been growing rapidly over the last 12 months or so. So we'll be talking about his journey and some of the stuff he's been doing, the training he's been doing. It's an excellent story. So I look forward to getting into that with Robbie. Ben Jarrett's back sometime next week as well. We're talking that part 2 episode of the social media stuff we covered a little while ago. That will be really exciting. We've had a ton of questions on that, so we'll delve into that a little bit further. Steve Hurt from Outer Edge Projectiles is back on Thursday night to delve into reloading again. It was excellent. That's one of the most popular shows we've had. So we're going to get back into that, get deeper again, and see what Steve's got to say. And then I think we might be getting Dutchy back. Anyway, all sorts of stuff lined up for the week. Big week. Thanks shout out to Ben Jarrett for getting it all hooked up. Awesome stuff. Go follow the Long Gun Project. Go check that out. What else can I tell you? Scoped out. I've got a big sale on at the moment. There's a whole stack of clearance items, second-hand gear, and sort of pre-loved scopes and bits and pieces, as well as some new stuff. There's the Diamondback Tactical from Vortex, 4-16, which is at the old price still. There's one left at the old price. There's also a Viper PST. There's a PRST tripod going cheap. There's all sorts of stuff. So go check that out there. There's actually a clearance section on the website, and you can do that. You'll save a ton, which is, if there's anything left by now, there's been going out all day. All right, what else we got? Big shout out. I wanted to give a shout out to Sheldrake and to Ness as well. They have been keeping me posted daily and tagging me in and I don't think they've missed a day since we started Team Impact. And so awesome work to them who are, I think Sheldrake's working on dropping some kilos. Haven't seen much about that, by the way, Dave. Keep us posted on that. But editing videos, which is awesome, which is a challenge in itself. And Ness is doing no booze for 2 weeks and works in a booze shop, in a bottle, and also going for walks as well, which is excellent. Also, Anthony's in the chat. He sent me a photo today. One of his goals was to set up his reloading setup, and he has done that today. So he's ticked his team inbox. No, that's a whole different thing. That's 2 weeks' time. We'll do the Team Impact Challenge. Looking forward to seeing what he can pull off with reloads in the coming weeks. By the way, after this stream, I'll be doing day 3 of my dry fire with the clock resetting tomorrow night after a lengthy Instagram live debate with Andy Little. The clock resets at the start of the show, so I've still got tomorrow to do my 4th one. So tonight after the show, if you want to do some dry fire, jump on Instagram and do the, I don't know what it's called, where we both go live on this. Anyway, hit me up for that, and we'll do a live stream with that and join in if you're needing to do some dry fire, which is everyone, because everyone needs to dry fire. Right, what else have we got to tell you? I think that's about it. Butters is smiling at me because he knows he needs to be dry firing. He shouldn't be doing this show. He should be dry firing, and Birchie dry fires anyway. Something chronic. So we've got these boys coming on. So tonight our special guests are Team Impact. Oh man, look at me go on fire tonight. Team Accuracy International. Well, two thirds of Team Accuracy International. Unfortunately, Andy couldn't make it. We'd love to get him back on at some time and pick his brains apart for all sorts of ideas. But in the meantime, joining us tonight, Butters and Birchie, the two. I was going to say the best looking, but that's just rude, isn't it? But anyway, we've got 2 of the guys from Team Impact. Oh man. I'm over to you. Accuracy International. Team Accuracy International. That's what you're called. Hey guys, hope you're doing well. Birchie, how's your wherever the hell you are?
Yeah, I've had a good day. Just hanging out, keeping a low profile.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the way. And Butters?
Yeah, during night shifts, I've got to go to work again in an hour or so.
It's pretty
Seems
much
like last time I was on,
it's pretty much
I
every
was
single time.
kind of bloody night shift.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's all right, guys. And how we tracking with isolation / lockdown / whatever we call it in this environment?
No different for me, to be honest. Just can't go to the range.
Just can't go to the range. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's the way, gents. Well, guys, if you got questions for these guys, they're two guys who certainly know their stuff, and they certainly have done a fair bit of shooting and have seen results for it as well. Start dropping in the chat. We'd love to know. But first up, I mean, we've got to hit you guys up. Team Accuracy International. Tell us what gear you're running and go into detail, because we can clearly work out what rifles you run. Butters, what are you throwing forward apart from Tuscan Raider rifles?
I'll just point out that we are Team Accuracy International Delta Tactical.
Apologise for getting that wrong, Danny. Sorry.
It is a joint effort from AI and Delta Tactical with Danny and Tony, so we can't forget them. We've also got Night Force and Low Vis Gear, and I've mind blank. Who's the other one? No, that's it, isn't it?
Kind of. We've got some stuff coming up this year.
We do.
It'll be pretty good. But
got some stuff in the works, but yeah. So we want to thank those guys as well as Jim Mew as well with Low Vis Gear and Night Force and Danny and Tony and the guys at AI. We want to thank them for last year and the years coming.
Awesome.
But as for the gear that we've been using, obviously we're using the Accuracy International AX rifles. I'll let Jimmy go through what he's got, but I'm using the Mill XT reticle on the 7-35.
Yep.
Spur rings. I'm using a Atlas Cal bipod.
Yep.
Various other little bits and pieces, and with an Area 419 Sidewinder brake at the front. It's very effective. And various other bits and gear, like we're all using the bags that Jimmy brings in for us. They're pretty good, like the Game Changer and the Comanche.
Yep.
And a couple of the puff pillows.
Puff pillows, I love it.
Pump pillows, that's it. So we use them. And we sort of all use a bit of the same gear. But I suppose if people want to know specific stuff, they ask us so we can give them specific answers, I suppose.
Yeah. Nice. Bertie, what about you? I mean, obviously that's a rundown of the team gear, but what rifle are you running specifically for those who are not wearing?
yeah, we like Andy and Butters have both got the long action AIs, AXs, and the short action. We're all running the short actions just because it's a shorter bolt throw, a little bit lighter, and we've got the barrels coming through from Delta for them. I've got a 24-inch proof carbon 6.5 Creedmoor. We've got steel barrels for this year, or whenever we start shooting again, just to try and get a bit more weight up the front. The Area 419 Sidewinder muzzle brake, just it's big and it's offensive, but it's good. I'm the only one now with a Tremor 3 reticle in the scope. The other boys went to the Mill XT. I'm still a bit special, and I don't like thinking too hard. So the Tremor does most of the work for me.
Yeah,
I just have to line the dots up with the target, and that kind of helps me. With competition triggers, we got them. I've got a flat trigger shoe in mine because I prefer the shape of it.
Yep.
We're kind of messing around with Arca rails on the front end at the moment just to try and make them more practical. And we've got the Grey Ops chassis plates that we can mess around with the balance point a little bit. And I've got a Victor Company rail coming just to try and figure out if I like the inbuilt Arca instead of the bolting stuff on stuff. But that's more of a development thing than I haven't made my mind up yet.
Gotcha.
But we're always evolving and changing stuff. We're just trying to figure out where we can get small gains and try and be competitive. So.
Yeah, spot on. Yeah, it's always researching and developing and seeing what you can do and playing around. We did have a question in there about the comp trigger. Butters, which one are you running, and tell us the difference between the two.
So I've actually got both in both my AXMC and my match gun, the short action.
Yep.
The short action, I've got the match trigger in, and long action has the standard. Biggest overall difference is the weight difference. The match trigger is much, much lighter.
Yes.
Mainly, I don't know if this is for everyone's, but for mine, it's the first stage is much, much lighter, which makes that first stage take up a lot easier. And then the brake was already pretty good to begin with. I think years ago, Nick Halliwell and I measured the MC's trigger, and it was a 3.2 pound first stage.
Wow.
And 0.8 to 1 pound second stage to brake.
Yep.
So that second stage wasn't terrible, but that first stage at three and a bit pound, that was pretty savage. Especially when we started to try and do a little bit more what do you call it? Free recalling. As soon as you put any pressure on that trigger, you'd see the whole gun and point of aim shift.
Yeah.
So that's very much been mitigated by the match trigger, and if it's definitely worth it for matches.
Yep.
If you were just prone and shooting out in the bush or whatnot, I wouldn't necessarily say it's $700 you need to spend. But certainly for matches, I highly, highly recommend them. It was one of the best things that we got off Danny mid last year or a little bit earlier.
It was a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, if you can afford it and you do a few matches, highly recommend it.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, cool, nice. And back on reticles now, Butters, you're running the Mill XT. Is that
correct? Yeah,
right. Yeah. So tell us why you've chosen that, because you've gone from a Horus to that.
No. So if you can see, anyway, you can't see it. But my AXMC's currently got my Nightforce Beast on it, and it had a Mill R in it.
Oh, was it?
So I've gone from I went from no Christmas tree or anything like that, and I went to the Mill XT. I didn't particularly want to go the Tremor 3 because I wasn't a huge fan of the massive wind dots, but that's just me. However, I did want some sort of reference when holding wind, especially at range. The reason I wanted the XT is I found myself when I think it was Mildura last year, I was shooting 600 meters and we were having maybe, I forget how much wind we had, but I remember just holding out and on the berm at 600 meters at Mildura, there was just nothing. And so I figured go the XT, and then I've got at least some sort of reference to go by.
Yep.
And to be honest, I don't remember using it since, but if it's there, if I need it. Because we went to Little River, the wind wasn't too savage, but it was still all under a mil. Whereas I remember Mildura, it did blow up pretty savagely. And up here, we don't really have a huge amount of wind unless the cyclone's coming.
Yep. Then you've got
which I've shot in once, and I used 5.5 mil at 500 meters. It's something stupid.
Nice. And so you touched on the Tremor 3, Virtue?
Yeah, I use the Tremor 3. I've got that in the 7-35 and the 4-16. With the 6.5 mil, generally they're 5 mile an hour guns. So 5 miles an hour is one dot. So you can bracket if it's 10 miles an hour and it's lulling at 5 and gusting to 15. You can put the 10 mile an hour dot in the middle, and generally at the ranges we're shooting at, you might capture, the one dot on either side of it. So you get a lot of information in there, and you don't have to use, computers and kestrels and stuff to figure that out. You can, make a good estimate. And there's a lot of information in there, and people kind of complain a little bit about that, but when you're using it, like the XT and the other Christmas tree reticles, you only see what you're using, So it's not a big deal until you zoom right out to below 10, which we don't often. It's not that bad. I actually quite like it.
Yeah, I think I always suggest to people that if they're going to go down that path of trying a Horus or something on those lines, 2 weeks, generally 2 weeks behind the gun of, sort of shooting, a couple of weekends or so, they will usually be pretty comfortable looking through it, because most people sort of stop and stare at the reticle, and really once you've spent a bit of time behind it, you just sort of see it overlaid onto whatever your target is.
Like you're paying for the licensing, it's an extra $500 ish for the Tremor, but it's brand tax, I think. But it's a really powerful reticle, and I think it's once like you said, once you get comfortable with it and you've done all your calibrations with your Kestrel and you've validated it and stuff, it's actually it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Targets are in a lot of trouble.
Good. Whatever they happen to be. Excellent. I've got a question here from Henry, which is a really sensible question about the team aspect of being in a PRS team. How did you get in? How did you go about becoming a team? And then what are the dynamics of actually being a team? Like, what is I mean, we call your team Accuracy International Delta Tactical, but what does that relate to? What does that mean, I guess, at the matches or that sort of thing?
You want me to answer that, Birchie?
Go for it. Might as well. You started it.
You started, mate.
I don't know if I started it, but we'll go with what it means at matches.
Yep.
Really, we're all mates. We shoot together. We enjoy shooting together, and obviously we try and help each other out. But honestly, I don't think there was any difference till before we wore the Guernsey.
Yep.
I think. So at matches, I don't think it makes that. It's not really that much different, but what I guess is different at matches is we get the opportunity to represent these awesome brands in AI and Low Vis and Night Force and Delta Tactical. We get to showcase what they've got available for everyone, and I don't really know if there's any different to just turning up to shoot with your mates. That's really what it is. We all already used AIs. We've really not really changed any of our gear to suit the sponsorship. Just pretty much got a hold of blokes that who happen to make what we use, and we just said, we want to represent you guys.
Yep.
I think the biggest change we had was when it all went down is we got Birchie to swap over from his AT over to the AX. And that was about it. That was really about it. That was the only big change. And, of course, we get the nice fancy red shirts now with our names spelled correctly. Transfer that. I got one of my shirts spelled correctly.
Fantastic.
I think it's interesting. Yeah, like it's a bit of a space race. It's kind of like the Formula One with the team. I don't know, McLaren or whichever team. There's a couple of drivers, and they're all competing again at the same race. You're in the same race, so
exactly right.
It's a bit high risk sometimes because Butters is consistently a better shooter than me. And Andy's got a lot of potential as well, and he'll smash me if we're not paying attention.
Yeah,
and here's me asking for shit.
Yeah, and Butters rolls in. He's like, "Hey man, can I use your tripod and your Comanche and your this?" I'm like, I don't know. But it's an interesting kind of dynamic. Like you want to. It's in the best interest of everyone that we're shooting well. Because we want to do a good job, and we enjoy shooting. We're not there for the, we're not shooting because we're sponsored. We're shooting because we were shooting, and we, like Butter said, we have the opportunity to fly the flag for companies that we already respect and appreciate. And we already had Night Force scopes, and we already had an AI. I couldn't, when I bought my AT, I sold a couple other guns to buy that because I couldn't afford at the time an AX. And so I ended up with an AT, shot the PSR in Victoria because they're expensive rifles.
Yeah.
And then the sport evolved, and then Low Vis started, and that enabled me to kind of step up with the help of Delta and the boys, Butters and Andy into the AX. So we're uniform, same guns, and it's just continually growing and evolving. But it kind of started just from a bunch of dudes hanging out shooting stuff.
Yep.
And it's really cool that it's kind of evolved into this, and we've got a lot of support And fortunately, last year we shot pretty well, in the circumstances. So, I think it's a really good opportunity that Butters and Andy kind of put together with Delta. And then I came along, and they picked me up and we ran with it. And it's good.
Yeah, nice. And I guess that's a hopefully not so unique a story where you guys were using the gear and now you've become like representatives of it who were already using it, already believed in it, and you probably haven't really changed what gear you're running. You're just running the same gear and just either upgrading some stuff or bits and pieces.
I don't think I've changed one thing from what I would have run anyway, which I think is what we want to keep it like. We don't we're representing blokes that we want to represent, and we're happy to. We're not just after the free shit. Like, I don't think we've actually been given that much to start with, just the opportunity.
Yeah.
I think I haven't changed anything that I would have not been running otherwise.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
We shoot for AI UK, for the most part. So with England, we're quite close with them through Delta. They're definitely hand in hand as the Australian distributor for AI.
Yeah.
And they've brought in a heap of guns, and now there's more turning up at the PRS, and there's a ton of AIs at the PSR, the Precision Service Rifle matches. There are millions of ATs and stuff in there now.
Yep.
Which is really cool. I'd like to think that we've had a bit to do with that.
Yeah.
But it's good because it keeps us in line as well. It minimises the shenanigans on the line. So we're trying to be professional and try and, put out a good image. Because it's, I was trying to explain to my wife, to Beck, it's a bit like, for me, it's like Serena Williams playing tennis for Nike or something maybe. I don't know if she plays for Nike or not, but it's such a massive... all we're interested in is shooting, and then to shoot for a company, international company, representing the Australian part of it. It's awesome.
Yeah,
and we all take it pretty seriously. I think
We kind of really haven't answered. Whose question was it? Henry's question. It's not an easy question to answer, Henry, as apart from Night Force and low vis gear, we didn't have a huge input into getting it all done. We greatly have Danny and Tony to thank for that, because they are the Australian and New Zealand distributors for AIs. They certainly helped us a lot. But I suppose any advice for anyone out there is just shoot what you want to shoot and just promote it as much as you can. Even if you're not sponsored, just help out, show it off. And people do take notice. I noticed that MDT earlier in the year noticed that a lot of people were showing some things off, and they've jumped on board with a couple of shooters this year. So if you truly do want to represent someone, just be bold, get out there, ask, show things off, and shoot what you believe in.
Yeah, nice. That's a good sensible way to do it. I was just going to touch on something you talked about before, Birchie, in terms of pressure. Do you feel any additional pressure since becoming a formalised team of how you perform at all?
I think, with work and things that we've done in the past, like pressures, it's a good thing if you use it to your advantage. Right? Mm-hmm. There's definitely, you've got an obligation to kind of perform. Which I think, like when you put on a jersey, a red shirt, like dudes are looking at you and they're kind of going, oh, this guy, like in New Zealand at the Mountain Challenge, I was the only guy with a shirt on, with my name on it.
Yeah.
And that was a bit awkward. And dudes are like, I don't know who this guy is, but he probably shoots all right. And if you suck, then everyone's into you, you'll be all over Facebook straight away. So.
It does add a little bit more pressure on it wearing a jersey. Mm-hmm. You kind of feel like you need to perform a little bit better, but all in all, it's all about just having fun and just shooting, trying to better yourself at shooting.
Yeah, nice.
I think that's one thing I did this last year was the less you care about the overall score, the more relaxed you are, and then you generally shoot fairly well anyway. If you're stressing out about the end result, I was just talking to a mate about it a minute ago. If you're stressing out about the result, then man, you're struggling already. Just as long as you're having fun with good dudes and you wear a shirt that's got a couple of logos on it, awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, nice.
You can make it your worst enemy though, easy.
Yeah, I bet. Hot tips. Excellent. There was a question here. We're going to get AI questions, I know that. But is it possible to run a 223 Remington in an AI platform? Have either of you got one of those?
Yes and no.
Okay.
You can't. So with the AI action, I don't think that runs 223 very well at all. I think they've tried. And I don't think it works. What you can do is just get one of the chassis and then throw another action inside of it. I've done that with an old Steel Attack 30 action and 223. In this one here, this one's currently a Voodoo Attack 22, or whatever you call it. And so that's a 22 in a AT chassis. Yep. So you can do the same thing with any 223 action, and that'll act as a 223 trainer, especially if you set it up. For instance, if I actually took the time and spent the money to put that in an AX chassis, that would be a much better trainer for my match rifle. But I wanted to get the old AT chassis and do it up a bit and.
Yeah, got it.
But it is possible, but just not with the AI action itself. At the moment, you never know what they'll bring out in the future, but yeah.
Yep.
There's a company in the US on Sniper Side that's been advertising and kind of rumbling about it for a bit, but I think it voids the warranty and they've got to replace the bolt head and it takes a bit of work and it's been a bit hit and miss and a couple of $1,000s on maybe a bit of a whim, but it's not ready for it. I wouldn't do that yet.
Wouldn't jump down that path. Yeah, fair enough. No. Fair enough. Nice, gents. Right, so guys, if you are watching, gentlemen, we might take our short little planned break right at the minute, if you don't mind, and we'll be back in a moment. So, guys, if you're watching, these guys are serious dudes and know their stuff. So, thanks for the questions so far. If you do have any further, please send them on through, and we'll pass them through to the guys. We always look forward to some interesting questions, delving into all sorts of stuff, and they know all sorts of stuff as well in terms of reloading or ammo or choice or anything along those lines. So hit them up; it would be great. Now we'll get them back on in a moment. Just before we do, this week Robbie Gallo's on tomorrow night, so make sure you join us for that one, which will be excellent. Ben Jarrett's I think Tuesday night, and we're doing social media stuff there, and go from there. Boys jumping back in, but I did want to let you know that Scoped Out are having a big clearance sale at the moment. So all sorts of pre-owned scopes, new scopes, some discounts and bits and pieces, and a bunch of mounts as well, sorts of rings and mounts and stuff, although a few of them have gone already. So jump on there if you can and see what goodies are around. That would be good. We've got Birchie back, and Butters is I guess waiting to work out how these things work. Right, gentlemen, we've ended up on a great screenshot there. Oh, good. Virchie, you use your AI a lot for hunting, don't you? That's I guess where your background's been big. Have you noticed? I mean, they're designed for, I guess, military work. They go pretty well out hunting.
It's very much a government contract manufactured sniper rifle out of a box. So it's the tolerances it's designed for the bush, and that's where it shines. It's not a competition rifle. It was designed specifically for military and law enforcement. I use it hunting. Like, it's not the lightest gun. Yeah, I don't know how heavy mine is. My scales only go up to 3 kilos or something, but it's not offensive, especially with a proof carbon barrel. But the main key that we get with the AIs is during competitions, especially when it's dusty or it's raining, is that they don't stop working. It'll shoot. Other guys whinging about triggers and magazines dying and all that, and it's not a problem for us. You could feel the rocks in there, but it won't stop shooting for you.
Yeah,
we don't have to worry too much about the environment.
That is one thing I've certainly seen. Is a solid piece of kit, and they just don't fail. They go well. They go really well. So, what about you, Butters? Have you done some hunting with your AI, and how's it gone?
Yeah, no, done. Or not really up here. Certainly down back home. I go out spotlighting quite a bit with the old man, and yeah, it's just like being on the range. Yep. Fox 400 meters out. Yep, no worries. Just aim up and take him out. A lot of the farmers love it when I go down there because obviously as a farmer, they're not necessarily the longest of shots with their 22, 250 or anything like that. So they quite enjoy it when me and Dad come out to their farm and knock a few foxes over for them.
Yep.
I think the last time we went out, we're out near Rand, Wabundry, New South Wales there, and we probably 50 metres from the house, we're looking down over these flock of ewes and their lambs, and there was frigging 3 foxes on the other side, 300 to 400 metres away, and we knocked over a few of those, and I think the closest shot we took all night was at a cat bloody 30 metres away. And the 140 ELDMs do a number on them, I'll tell you what.
Not wrong. Not wrong. Oh, very good. Now, I figured this question was going to come up at some point, but is the question that AX owners get. One of the features is the ability to change barrels very quickly. How often do you find yourself actually changing the barrels on them? Either of you do that?
We just got steel-proof barrels from Delta Tactical, so all of our last year's barrels are fairly cactus now. We've all put at least a couple of thousand rounds through them. So I'm gonna work through that in the next. Well, once these restrictions are lifted and it can probably go out shooting and get left alone. I'll do that. I've got a 308 barrel, which is a 26-inch, and that's really good. And then the 260 Remington barrel that I had from my AIAT that I kept and brought over. So it's something that you can do. And I was reloading for the 260 a couple of days ago, so I'm planning to do that. It only takes literally 50 seconds or something. Like, it's stupid to change between a short action round. Yeah, it's really fast.
Yeah, we can demonstrate it pretty quickly if people wanted that. But
all good.
On my match gun, I never changed mine that often. Basically, when the barrel is cactus, I turf it. Unless I specifically want to put the 308 barrel on, I do. But otherwise, on the MC, I swap between the 300 and the 338 lap mag quite often, actually.
Yep.
Generally, it's like, oh God, what do I got ammo for? What do I need to? What barrel do I need to put on? But it really is. When you can see there's that one screw. You literally just loosen it off. Mm-hmm. There's an Allen key under the cheek rest, so it's always kept there, and it does the majority of the system.
Yep. Loosen
the key off, and then you can undo the barrel by hand. And it's a very easy system to use. You only have to do it hand tight. You don't need to crank it right down, or just crank the barrel down as tight as you can with your hand, basically, and then tighten the nut up. And it's very repetitive as well.
One of them.
I'm on night shift.
Oh, you're not. You're at home.
Been sleeping all day.
Good. So you should be primed, ready to roll. Excellent. Now, Ben's got a great question here from a PRS shooter point of view. Do either of you guys have a pre-shot routine, and does it change from prone to barricade at all?
What do you mean by pre-shot? Like the steps we take as we want to squeeze the shot off, I'm guessing?
Well, even before, basically in the lead up to a shot. Do you have any sort of structured thing, the process you go through at all?
Not really. It's not. I suppose it's not really different to any other gun. When you're prone or off a barricade, you're making sure that you're nice and stable. Yep. You're not enacting any undue motion into the gun and then you break that shot when you're comfortable and you're happy with your sight picture.
Yep.
I don't.
No. What about you, Ben?
I've got a couple of things that I work. I'm a little bit special. I like flowcharts and spreadsheets and checklists and stuff like that.
My man.
For prone, make sure my feet are flat, straight behind the gun.
Yep.
My left hand that's supporting the back end, I'm trying not to roll my elbow forward. I'm trying to keep it so my shoulders are square. Just that's all basic fundamental stuff. Like Butters was saying, it's you want to be on top of that. But I'm just definitely making sure my elbow's not doing weird stuff. If you're dialing or holding elevation, like that's a conscious decision for me, and I'll always check that, check level, check parallax, make sure. Slack sight squeeze and stuff like that. Like take the slack out of the trigger. Don't just grab at it. Especially when you're barricade shooting, you need to preset the trigger and make sure, you're not throwing the gun around. And as Butters said, with the non-competition trigger, that's a huge problem because it's a 1.5-ish kilo trigger, and you'll squeeze it, and the whole gun starts canting off and rolling off the target. It's a massive problem, and that was probably the best thing we did to our guns was put the comp triggers in, because then you can start shooting off tank traps and it doesn't move anymore. But then follow through and all that. It's basic fundamentals, but you know, as long as you're doing the same thing every time, and then you can modify it, you can expect results. Don't, you know, sit down with a notepad and actually write down what's important, and then get on top of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there, knowing that you know, AIs are generally run as pretty standard factory guns, you talked about one of the tweaks being the trigger. Is there any other tweaks you've done to it that to sort of well, for any reason really, I guess? But,
one thing we have done is I don't know about yours, Birchie, but I know on mine I've removed the forward grip here. I've removed that off mine, and then we've got one of those. The boys at the club, they call them the cheaty plates, but it's a little Arca-Rail plate that sits under the fore end, and then it extends back either side of where this forward handguard is, and that allows our rifles to get lower, sits lower in the bag, and then that plate stops a lot of the side-to-side rock. We used that the first time at the finale last year. Yep. We got given them. It was like, oh God, should we be using brand new shit at the finale? But we spent the practice day with them, and then we were really happy with the results. But apart from the triggers, really the main thing we've done is attach the Arca-Rail to the front fore end, and that. Excuse me, for the barricade stuff, we use that little plate. I think it's Grey Ops plate, Arca-Rail plate, and we put that on the bag, and that stops a lot of the side to side motion and lets the rifle sit lower in the bag. Otherwise, it's a good 4 or 5 inches. All your scopes a good 4 or 5 inches above the bag, which generally lower can be better.
Yep.
And that's what we've tried.
Yeah, nice.
I think I like messing with stuff, and I always had Jeep Wrangler 4-wheel drives, and it's like a Lego car. You can pull stuff off, put stuff on, and you turn it into a monster from a blank canvas. The AXs now, there's a lot of companies supporting them. You know, like the Grey Ops, the chassis cut rail that you can get from Delta. That's what we're talking about.
Yep.
We've got the HRD gear, the AFAX09, I think it is. It's the short 13-inch front Arca platform that we can put for tripods and our bipods. And you know, we've all got the really right stuff clamps with the throw lever, so we can slide the bipod backwards and forwards. That was another big deal to push it all the way out for prone stuff and bring it all the way back in for shooting off barrel tops and short benches and stupid shaped things. That was a big step forward.
A lot of flexibility.
The Victor Company USA rail. I'm trying to minimise how many things are bolted onto things.
Yep.
That's just something I'm going to mess around with and you know, reassess in the next couple of months. So Butters has been playing with the MVP weights, the weight kits.
That is
we're
so
trying
loud.
to play the balance point. So.
Oh, that's right. I did do that. Yep. I've still not fired around with them yet.
Taking the top Picatinny rail off and minimising all the crap down the front of the gun.
Yep.
We've got steel barrels now, so we're trying to bring the balance point back towards the front of the gun. A lot of the MPAs and KRGs, that the barrel profile is a lot lower. Like I was saying, 4 or 5 inches above the gun. It can get pretty unfriendly sometimes.
Sure.
So we're trying to bring the centre of gravity back towards the balance point where the plastic grip was. But there's heaps of stuff. You know, it's not really true to brand for you know, running factory stuff, but we need to be competitive and find the middle ground as well, you know. So, we're trying to navigate through that at the moment.
What we need to remember is we've literally taken a rifle that wasn't specifically designed for this purpose, but we're showing that it still can be. Yeah. It still can be used for the PRS competitions and any other competitions for that matter. I've used my XMC in an F-Class Queens match, just took the brake off it and away we went. So they're very versatile systems, and I'll be very interested to see if AI listen and they bring out a new dedicated system in the future.
Because I was going to ask you about that next, actually, because they have teased some upgrades or changes, haven't they, Butters? When we were in the US, they have a new chassis that they were sort of teasing,
they're certainly playing with the idea. But well, I think they are listening.
Okay,
and I hope they bring something out in the next couple of years or so.
No details on that yet, though.
Tripod shooting is becoming a lot more common now, and the Army's cottoned onto that, and that's why there's Arca rails coming further back towards the middle of the gun. And night vision's still a big deal, obviously, for defence and law enforcement, so that's why there's the M-lock and the key mod or the AI key slot, holes all over it. So you can still add a million rails to it, but they're starting to kind of bridge the gap a little bit between military sniper rifle and practical field gun.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because I guess there's a number of lessons learnt in both fields that can cross over to the other. There's
a lot of US Army contracts as well with the precision sniper rifle and the advanced sniper rifle, the ASR and PSR contracts that the MRAD did well in that one. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely evolving and it's changing a lot. But they're still testing and there's pricing and that hasn't been released yet. But I'm very interested in a long action AX, ASR or Mark III.
Yep.
AX whenever they release it, I'd like one in 300 normal or 300 PRC.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that'd be sweet. Yeah, brilliant. Now I was going to get on to glass for you. So, which you said you're running a 735, Birchie?
We've all got the 735 Attacker.
You've all got those? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, yep. we were lucky. Jamie from Nightfall has helped us out. We got the emblem, our team emblem, laser engraved, or two team emblems engraved on the side. So I sold my beast to get that. So, fly the flag.
Yeah, nice.
Good scope. It's a lot of glass. So, I don't normally go past about 14 or 16 power.
Yeah.
So the other 20 is almost wasted for PRS, just at the ranges we're shooting. But it's good to have it.
What about you, Butters? Are you running much around the top end, or is you still sort of 14, 15, 16 power for most of your stuff?
Most of if it's the more unstable it is, the lower power I'll be. Mm-hmm. Generally, I run a little bit higher. I run 17 to 20 for most stuff. Yep. And depending on the situation, I'm very dynamic. I'll swap and change it. Very rarely will I go above 25 unless I'm shooting on paper.
Yep.
But 17 to 20 is about my go-to. That's about where I'm comfortable at. But it does also depend on the range. Like back home here, I'll regularly go 20 to 25 because I know the range. I know where everything is. I look at one berm and I go, no, I want to aim 5 meters left.
Yeah.
But let's say I go to Little River, look up at the mountain, I'm going, oh, God. Take 5 minutes to find the target. So generally I might start a lot lower until I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
Generally, starting lower and then dynamically changing it because it's not a lengthy time to change the mag.
Gotcha. So I had a question about about that running that larger a range scope. I guess first up, does a 7 power in what we do ever find, is that not low enough in anything you do?
It's too low. Even if we're shooting a fixed target at 300 meters, you lose, especially with the trimmer, you lose a lot of the resolution, I guess, and the reticle just shrinks down to not much.
Yep.
So it's hard to shoot when it's below probably 10 anyway, I think.
Yeah, 12 is about as low as I think 12, 14 is about as low as I've ever gone in a match. However, at spotlighting, I know I have used the lower setting, 7 to 10 out spotlighting because they're a bit more light at the lower end. But it's not used very often, but certainly having that range is beneficial.
Okay.
It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it, I guess.
Yeah, understood. So then on the other end, given that it'd be fair to say that most scopes we see in the PRS are in that ballpark of 5 to 25. That's where the majority. They might hover a little bit top and bottom on that, but that's the majority of them. And the 7 to 35 certainly seems to be a unique sort of item in that regard. Where does the like if you're looking at the reticle on a 5 to 25 ATAC-R, for example, with the same reticle on 15 power, does it look the exact same on a 7 to 35 and so just that extra 10 above is zoomed in further? Or do they sort of reset the balance of the reticle based on the top magnification? Do you know? Have you compared the two?
I think that's a question that Jamie at Nightforce would probably have the answer for. Okay. But I would think that with the 7 to 35, they maybe etch the reticle slightly thinner because it zooms in further. Mm-hmm. So then it'd start to blow out more. I think that would make sense. Yep. But you know, when you zoom at 35, like everything is big. You know, like the picture's big and the dots are big. So it's a relative problem. I think like, technologically, I think it'd be really hard to kind of work in tolerances that small, especially with reticles like a mil-XT and a Tremor. Yeah, that's probably a Nightforce technical support question.
I find it interesting because a lot of guys will sit around that sort of 12, 15 power because there's a nice balance of how the reticle looks and how much you can see in your field of view. And I wondered, you know, if we're adding an extra 40% magnification top of the scope, whether that sort of resets it instead of now our average is 18 power.
Well, if anyone ever wants to come and have a look at our scopes, you know, or just come and ask. Like a lot of people, you know, I'd like to think we're pretty approachable.
Yeah.
If they want to have a look at our gun, like I know there's restrictions during the match, but after the Sunday or whatever, like then maybe there's a bit of leniency. If they want to come have a look and get behind it and feel it and have a look through the scopes and play with the parallax, that was the biggest thing with the Attacker was that with scopes I've had in the past. You know, you move the whole parallax knob from all the way in to all the way out, and it doesn't seem to do a great deal. With the Attacker, you can go from 50 to 100 and it's totally a different image, you know, like everything's very precise and that's really good. But if anyone wants to have a look, come and ask.
Yeah, absolutely. I think our Attack-Rs can focus down to 10 meters.
It's stupid. Yeah, it's for shooting air rifles.
We nearly get away with not using a DFAT system for dry fire target.
Yeah, because how close they can come down to. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Nice. All right, there's a question here from Chungi, I believe. Someone might have asked already, but your top two powders for your loads. Well, Birch, you generally runs factory ammo, don't you? So
I don't have time, man. I'm busy. I'll pay someone to load for me if they want.
Or who has time to have two powders? But anyway, what powder do you run, Butters?
I run AR 2209.
Yep.
And about 43 grain of it, roughly.
Yep.
That sends them pretty quick, so I'm pretty happy. So it's given me good results. I've stuck with 2209 for the last couple of 260 barrels I've run. Yeah.
Yep.
I don't fuck around. I'll make sure they're going hard.
Yep.
140 grain doing nearly 2900 is pretty good, I reckon.
And do you neck turn your cases at all? No.
Too much.
No. Yeah, Birchie runs factory, and I should not be listened to when it comes to reloading, other than I make sure there's the same amount of powder in it.
Okay, gotcha. And so, Birchie,
I've got a 260 as well, and like it's 43.5 grains at 2209 with 139 grain Lapua Sena.
Mm-hmm.
That's always been a real good round. 2208, I use that for the 308, but 2209 seems to go a bit better.
Yeah, and how have you found it running factory ammo in a PRS match? Has it been because I would assume you do it because of time and it's quicker. You know, it's the same reason I run factory ammo 223. Has it been? Is it a detriment?
It's a funny thing, you know. Like the AI is a government. It's a produced factory gun out of a box, shooting factory ammo out of a box. You know, it's like things are probably stacked against me. Like I haven't had the opportunity to tune my gun to me or to the range, you know. So I'm definitely probably running at a disadvantage in some areas.
Yep.
I know the extreme spread. I did 5 strings of 5 rounds with the Magneto Speed a couple of months ago, just before New Zealand.
Yeah.
And the extreme spread might have been 40 foot per second for 5 strings of 5, which is not unreasonable. It's not single digit, So at our ranges that we're shooting 600 something meters, like that might only be 0.1 or something, like you got more problems than that.
Yeah. You can wobble off a target way easier than that.
I'd like to reload for it, but man, we're burning 200 rounds sometimes a match with the warm up and stuff, and to do that to the level that I'm happy, I guess it takes probably 10 hours to sit there and do that, and I struggle nowadays to do it. So I'll buy a case or 3 or 4 cases of ammo, which is disgustingly expensive, but once you have it from the same lot number, you can go on True Your Kestrel and CalMV and do all that stuff, make your graphs, make your charts, and then it's more about the barrel dying than the ammo changing.
Yeah.
And then once I've got 600 cases, I'll sell them to someone that's reloading, and then they kind of win and I kind of win. And I've done the maths, so it might be $1.80 to reload, with the brass powder primers and stuff, but it might be $2 to shoot factory ammo. So it's not that bad, really.
Yeah, but by the time you sell the brass, and you can guarantee it's once fired brass because you're the bloke that's fired it.
Yeah. From a proof barrel with an AI, it's all good stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, it's going to be in good condition. So when you do reload, and obviously you have other guns you reload for, you're pretty fastidious about your loading?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't want to hang out with me. I think, so.
Is there any unique processes that you do in your reloading, Virtue, or are you just sort of full detail on?
I wear one sock inside out. I don't know.
All right. Haven't heard this tip before. Good. Hope you guys are writing that down. One sock inside out. Is that to do with the humidity of the room and how the fluoros affect the powder scales? Is that the sock?
I think it helps the charge master calibrate a little bit.
I understand.
Yeah. Don't listen to me. I've got no idea. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic, guys! Excellent. And I guess when we're getting back into it, which we hopefully will at some point soon, what are your main areas of focus that you're going to be spending your time working on resolving before the season's back on deck? Have you got Butters? What are you looking to your biggest weakness from last year?
All of it.
Just so we can exploit it.
I don't know exactly. I sort of just try and work on everything. I don't particularly have a overly strong suit. I'm not that. I think one of the few things I'm not real flash at is tripods and off really thin barricades.
Yep.
Not comfortable on them. For instance, let's say you got just a round bar horizontally, and you're on that.
Yep.
There's a lot of forward and rear rocking in that, and if you're not permitted, say, a tripod as a rear rest, I'm not 100% comfortable on that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to try and work out how I can better myself at that. And I need to try and follow my shots a little bit better than I do. Usually I'll try the first shot. If I miss, I'll really try and make sure I watch it.
Yep.
And then generally I probably have a little bit too much faith in my gun that it's shooting where I'm aiming it. And if I hit it, I just keep it there and I shoot it.
Yep.
And then if I miss, I sort of go, well, shit. What's happening here? Especially if you're not prone, it can be difficult to follow your shots, and especially with the 260, it does boot a little bit more than your little 6mm BRX poof the bloody thing, and yeah. So I think just trying to follow up my shots a little bit better, recoil management, and just getting through a little bit of time. I think I was just starting to slack off a little bit in time, so I need to just be a bit more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly efficient getting into position, I think, and between shots. I think that's what I want to try and work on.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, nice. What about you, Birchie? Anything particularly that you're going to focus on?
I know Luke's been talking a lot about it lately, like the performance-based analysis type. Filming yourself going through it and just maximising efficiency. with pistol shooting, I really try and minimise extra fluff. Try and how do we get in a position as fast and consistently as possible. And I'm a little bit. I'll have a random flyer every now and then, which is completely my fault, but I'd like to try and narrow down why that's going on. Like in New Zealand, we had this 5-shot stage. It was just stupid shooting off a big cable, and I hit all the 4 of the horrendous ones and missed the one from prone that I really paid attention, and that's disappointing. And I'd like to get on top of that. But whatever. Like shooting. If you're having a bad run, there's normally a reason for it. So I'd like to just be less shit next year.
That's all we all want to do is just
Yeah, it's about by how much and in what area. But
I get it. I need a whiteboard, but that's the cone of shitness, and it starts at the muzzle, and it progressively gets worse. There's an equation for that. You can figure it out. We'll sit down and have a chat about it.
Yeah, we'll crank the math on that, and we'll be all over it. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Everything is your fault. You stop blaming everything. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, one thing while you're talking about graphs and such, I've noticed that the current trend for the coronavirus in Australia has been following the 308 trajectory really well. It's been sort of just bang and then back down. Yeah.
Well, it's flatlined here.
Yeah. Well,
it's in
48 is Darwin. So no one goes there. It's too hot.
Pretty much the 308 virus. Yeah.
We had 28. We've had 23 recovered now, and nothing for 20 days. So.
Oh, it's showing off, man. Showing off.
Sitting pretty. We do have like a 15th of the bloody population up
here. I was going to say the other factor you got to take into your equation though, Butters, is you live in Darwin.
You should teach New South Wales how to sort it out.
Too many Sydney
making us look bad.
Oh, nice guys, nice, awesome. Well, thank you very much for coming on and joining in tonight and answering a few questions. It was always a pleasure to see both of you, and wish you the best for whatever ends up being the 2020 season in both service rifle and PRS as well. And no doubt we'll catch up with you guys again soon. Any last parting words of wisdom you want to put out there?
Like we said, if guys want to come and have a look at our gear and get your hooks on it and get around it, they are expensive rifles, but when you do the math, everyone's spent a lot of money on their gear to compete at a national level. So if it's something you're looking at, just come and don't make it weird. You're the ones that make it weird. We're always there. So
even if it's just the scope or the muzzle brake or just one of the bags, just obviously not when we're flat out doing something. But if you see us just milling about, come and say good day and say, "Oh, can you tell me about this?" We'd be happy to, and point you in the right direction of where to get one if you want or whatnot.
Yeah, I'll give you guys the guys who are watching the hot tip that and I've been around with a lot of sponsored shooters around in all sorts of places, and some guys get intimidated because these guys are wearing jerseys and got brands all over and they're connected and they're sponsored and they're good shooters and all this sort of gear. Part of their actual deal of being sponsored is to represent the brand, so it's actually part of their job, so to speak. Job's probably a generous word, but it's part of the whole deal that they're at matches to talk about the product. So if you want to go and have a look at them and talk with the guys about them, and now these guys, the Team AI guys especially, will be super genuine with you about their experiences with AI and with the guns and Night Force and with all that sort of stuff. But go and chat to them and get, if you can, get behind the gun, have a play, have a look, and no doubt, generally they're always pretty happy to do that as well. So that's make sure you remember that, and don't be afraid to go and ask them to, hey, what's the details of this particular rifle or anything along those lines, because they're as excited about it as you probably are.
It's in the best interest of everyone in the sport now that it's growing so much that everyone evolves and continues to evolve. Otherwise, you probably get left behind. The guys are so aggressive now. Like Robbie, he's frothing over at dry firing and working with Luke and doing all this really good stuff. And he's a dangerous shooter now, but he's put a lot of effort in, and that's because he's got his finger on the pulse and he's a smart guy. If you're looking at a new rifle system or scope or rings or bipod or whatever, through Delta and through Low Vis and through AI and Night Force and stuff, there's a lot of good gear, and we'd like you to come and have a look at it.
Absolutely. Excellent. Well said, Birchie. Speaking of Robbie's our guest tomorrow night, so I'm very much looking forward to that show. Gentlemen, thanks very much for coming on board, and we will hope to catch up with you all very soon.
Thanks, Rusty.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks. See you, guys.
Guys, thanks for watching another Q&A session, and we'll be back into what is effectively week 6 of this show, kicking off tomorrow night. So as I mentioned, Robbie's on the show. I've also got Ben Jarrett on next week, Steve Hurt, and a number of other guests as well. Looking forward to a huge week. Hope you guys are well, keeping safe, and a little shout out to Scoped Out, stack of clearance items and cheaper items and discount stuff going on there right at the moment, so go check that all out. If you happen to be in need of dry firing like the boys are talking about, I will be on Instagram Live in about 5-ish minutes or so, and I'll be doing my 20 minutes of dry fire as part of Team Impact that I need to do. And if you can, the word's not duet, but that's what it is on TikTok, which I'm blowing up on TikTok right now. Anyway, you can request to go live, and we'll go live and do some dry firing together. Anyway, chat to you guys there. Thanks so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Hey, pretty baby, pretty baby.